On Wednesday, December 13th at 7:30 at the Crescent Arts Center, Jazz Winnipeg will be presenting the phenomenal singer Laila Biali in a show called Winter Songs and Holiday Classics. This is sure to be a marvelous holiday concert that will feature not only the incredibly talented Laila Biali, but also the renowned Juno winning and Grammy nominated Canadian saxophonist and flute player Jane Brunette. They will be joined by a group that consists of a rhythm section with some added strings to give the concert some extra warmth and holiday goodness. For those unfamiliar with Laila Biali, she has won a Juno for Vocal Jazz Album of the Year. She was also the youngest ever double winner to receive top prizes at the Canadian National Jazz Awards, where she was named SOCAN's Composer of the Year and Keyboardist of the Year. She has recorded 8 albums and has garnered rave reviews from publications such as Downbeat Magazine and Parade Magazine, and the list of accolades goes on and on. And joining me here over Zoom, I am joined by the one and only Laila Biali. Hey, Laila, it's great to talk to you again.
Oh, Chris, it's such a pleasure. Thanks for having me on the show.
Mm-hmm. So the last time we spoke was in the lead up for your performance for the TD Winnipeg International Jazz Festival performance that happened back in the summer of 2022, a show which I saw and which was most excellent. It was fantastic. How have you been doing over this past year, and how's this past year been treating you?
Thanks for asking. We're good. We've continued to get out there and tour. Just got back from Europe. We were in Germany and then Norway and France. And now we're gearing up to hit the road across Canada, bringing winter songs and holiday classics to theaters, literally from coast to coast for the first
Mm.
time ever. So we start off in the east and then we make our way out to Victoria and then back again, wrapping up in Ottawa. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah. I was looking at the tour schedule, and it's not like you're going east to west or west to east. You're in Saskatoon before you hit Winnipeg. Can you talk a little bit more about how the tour came together?
Yes. So basically, I've been very fortunate over the past 2 decades of my career to establish wonderful partnerships with presenters across the country. Some, of course, are more recent, like Zachary Rushing with Winnipeg Jazz, or Jazz Winnipeg, I should say. He's quite young and a gifted vocalist himself, and a very, very exciting person to work with. And I hear that from a lot of my peers as well. But some of the relationships that are a part of this tour, have been in my life for 20 years now, like Daryl Marr in Victoria, and Don Griffith in Saskatoon. And basically, Chris, the way that this goes, as an artist, as a touring performer, you have your ideal tour in mind, right? And everything happens beautifully in order. And, in terms of the geography, not likely in Canada, but you might even be fortunate enough to be able to drive from one city to the next. Rarely does that happen in Canada, especially not during the winter. But you're right. In this instance, we're hopping from one corner to the other and then back again. And that's because, every presenter is juggling all kinds of pitches, we call them, right? Like artists who
Mm.
are pitching their shows, especially Christmas and holiday shows. There's some stiff competition out there. And so these presenters, like Zachary Rushing, they get overwhelmed with the amount of requests, and you just see where the pieces all fall. And in some cases, you have a little bit of sway in terms of the routing, but a lot of the time you have to go with what's available.
Yeah.
And that's why we're bouncing around, but we're super happy with where it's landed. And I understand from Zachary that Jazz Winnipeg has had a recurring event on Wednesday nights, so audiences are somewhat used to that, which is great for us.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Is this your first holiday tour, or have you done other holiday tours in the past?
Only with Sting. So I was lucky to, I know, right?
Only name,
I
name name
know.
dropper.
Exactly right. It's still so fun to say, but it's true. It's true. I've toured. I toured with Sting. Actually, I was pregnant, and so I had a little bun in the oven. And Josh is now 13. So more than 13 years ago, I was on the road with Sting touring his "If on a Winter's Night," it was called. And you can still find it online. There's some fun songs. We filmed at Durham Cathedral in Durham, England. But anyway, that's the only Christmas tour I've done. And we did launch Winter Songs and Holiday Classics last year at Kerner Hall here in Toronto. But this is my first time bringing that project across the country and the first time doing my own holiday show. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Amazing. And on the concert, you're going to be joined by Jane Bunnett on saxophone and flute. How did this partnership come about? Have you performed frequently with her in Toronto?
No, I haven't. Jane is someone I've admired mostly from a distance for much of my career. She's one of these powerhouse women in jazz, and
Sure.
she has her own group with Makeke, beautiful all-female Cuban ensemble. And that's really what she's known for. But Jane is so diverse. And the thing about her, speaking of partners, is that she's just an incredible ally to have, musically and otherwise. I just knew that she was the right fit for Winter Songs and Holiday Classics because she's such an incredible flautist on top of being a beautiful soprano saxophonist. And I was hearing some flute on this music, especially the chamber jazz Winter Songs portion, which involves the strings as well. And she delivers this music exactly as I envision it. And so thank goodness I was, correct in imagining she could be a good fit. And then it just was beyond my wildest dreams in terms of her generosity. Like, she's so excited about the tour and she keeps sharing about it. And, last year at Kerner Hall, we packed the place. We had more than 1,100 people for the debut of Winter Songs and Holiday Classics, which Jane was a part of. So she's in the Winter Songs and Holiday Classics family.
Nice. Amazing. Can you talk about who else is going to be joining you on stage? Maybe starting out with your rhythm section. And my understanding is you're going to have strings on stage. And I'm just going by your email. Were you able to get a group of youth singers to join you?
Yes. So we're still working on the youth singers, but it's looking very positive. So to answer your question, I will have my husband, Ben Whitman, with me, which is something that I never take for granted because we have our son, Joshua. We always have to coordinate this as a family, and it worked out. So Ben will be with me on drums and percussion. And then a wonderful bassist, Daniel Fortin, who was last in Winnipeg with a wonderful violinist, Aline Homsi. So he's joining us on the road. And then we're very lucky to have Rebecca Volkstein, who heads up a quartet here in Toronto called the Venuti String Quartet. And she's coming in on first violin. And then we've picked up two of Winnipeg's finest to round out the string trio. So we'll have Samuel Nadarak on cello and John Selleck on viola, which is really fun for me because I have toured with John Selleck's brother, Luke Selleck.
Yeah.
Yes. And so Luke and I used to work together at a church in New York City. And then we went on the road together for a bit. And so I'm super excited to meet John. And then, as you mentioned, we have been on the lookout for a youth choir. And Zachary has two groups that he's put forward. And so we're just in dialogue with them to see where it will land. But I'm going to say I'm 90% sure that there will be a youth choir joining us on stage on the 13th at Crescent. Do you call it Crescent Arts Center?
Yeah, Crescent Arts Center or Crescent Fort Rouge United Church.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was listening to the holiday tunes you sent me. They are really, really great. Did you do the arrangements? And can you talk about how the string parts came about? Did you do those as well?
I did the arrangements, but not the strings. So I arranged Joy to the World. I arranged, and Four Sundays to Christmas as my own song, but I did also flesh out the arrangement for the singers and the band, etc. But the 20-piece string orchestra that you hear on those songs was arranged for by Rob Mathis. He is incredible. He lives just north of New York City. We met years ago, and he is a total heavyweight. He actually music directed Obama's inaugural concert.
Oh,
And he arranges for Bruce Springsteen. He arranges for Sting, Vanessa Williams. He's just like one of the top guys in the world, in my opinion. And he happens to be a friend of ours. So he was really excited to partner with us on these tunes. And there's more coming, actually. So next year, I release a full Winter Songs album, and several of Rob's arrangements will be on that.
That's going to be fantastic. Just to be clear, this is not a straight up Christmas Carol concert. This is not like a school thing. Can you talk about what people can expect? Jazz Winnipeg on their website says it's an experience winter inspired original music alongside thrilling arrangements of beloved sacred and secular classics. What can people expect on the Wednesday night?
Okay, well, there will be, some of the expected Christmas fare. So songs like Let It Snow, Sleigh Ride, Carol of the Bells, but totally reimagined. So as they've never been heard before is what I would say. And we're hoping that in that case, it's that wonderful interplay of that which is familiar and that which is new that will really help the audience to enjoy what they're hearing. And then beyond that, I do have a suite of winter songs that I wrote when I was at the Banff Center for Arts and Creativity 2 years ago, almost to the day. I went out there for a short residency as a writer, and I had a certain agenda in mind. And when I got there, I was in my little cabin in the woods, just surrounded by trees and snow-capped mountains and, just in the magic of winter. And so suddenly I found myself writing winter songs. And so much of the first half of the night will be the premiere of these original songs, which feature the strings, and also the choir will hop on for a couple of those. There will be a couple of Christmas classics from the sacred realm, like Joy to the World. And then also songs that I call holiday adjacent. So Leonard Cohen's Anthem, Jane Siberry's Calling All Angels. These are not Christmas songs, but it's really important to me that folks who come out to the shows, this tour, that they're not just hit over the head with all that holiday sparkle. Of course, there's going to be some of that, but we also want to offer songs that feel a little more poignant and are for those who may be experiencing a bittersweetness this holiday. And I think that's a lot of us. Yeah. And so, it's not going to be a blue Christmas through and through, but there will be Joni Mitchell's River and a couple other songs that are not overtly holiday, just nestled in there.
Winter classics. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you yourself have a favorite tune in the set, or is it going to be one of these things that changes from night to night or mood to mood?
Oh, I think because of the nature of jazz and improvised music, it will change from night to night. You're right about that. But as my husband and I, and you can see the drum kit behind me here, as we practice these songs, a couple are definitely emerging as favorites. There's an original song called Outside that's all about, I'm not really a big outdoorsy, wintry person, but my husband is. And so that song is all about the person who loves winter, beckoning the one who doesn't to come outside into the winter wonderland. And there's sort of this transformation where the one who's skeptical, ultimately just is transformed and starts to love winter and snow and all that. And so that's a fun one. And I dream of having Gregory Porter or Jamie Cullum as a duet partner on that song when we release it next year. So we'll see if that dream becomes a reality. From my mouth to God's ears, as they say.
From an audience standpoint, what do you hope audiences will leave the concert with? Is it just the love of the holiday season?
I want them to feel loved. So more than them experiencing and entering into a love of the holidays, I want them, this is going to sound cheesy, Chris, I want them to feel like this music and our presence on stage just wraps around them and meets them wherever they're at. So whether they're there to celebrate and counting down the days to Christmas, or whether they're grieving or kind of hoping and anticipating, I just want the music to wrap around them. And again, just meet them wherever they're at. It's a come one, come all kind of a night.
Perfect. Laila, as always, this has been so great to talk to you again. All the best on the 13th. I'm sure it's going to be excellent. My wife and I are planning on being there for sure. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me, and good luck on the tour.
Thanks for having me on the show, Chris. I really appreciate it and can't wait to see you.
Yeah. For our Classic 107 listeners, Jazz Winnipeg's presentation of Laila Biali's Winter Songs and Holiday Classics show takes place on Wednesday, December the 13th at 7:30 p.m. at the Crescent Arts Center. For more details, visit classic107.com or jazzwinnipeg.com. Laila, thanks again.
Thanks so much, Chris.